You probably don't know this, but in Guatemala there are entire cities hidden under the forest, volcanoes that still spew fire into the sky, and communities where time seems to have stopped. There is also a people who guard secrets and traditions that have survived centuries, small women in stature, but giants in strength and courage. Get ready to discover a Guatemala that few know and that you will never forget. Our journey begins in the mystical and untamed landscapes of Guatemala. Imagine yourself lost in a forest so dense that the sky is barely visible. The feeling is as if you're in another world, surrounded by giant trees and the sounds of nature pulsing all around you. This is the home of almost mythical creatures, silent jaguars, vibrant quetzals hiding in the treetops, and even rare species that only sharp eyes can spot. In the midst of this jungle, the presence of volcanoes is constant. They rise imposingly in a silence that hides the raw and uncontrollable force of their inner fires. At any moment, they could spew lava and ash, reminding everyone who really rules here. These active volcanoes, like Fuego and Pacaya, are fascinating for their power and beauty, but also make clear the respect they demand from the local population and travelers. They have shaped the land and culture, making the people resilient and adaptable to the unpredictable. The force of these volcanoes goes beyond the mountains, influencing all life around them. The volcanic soil in Guatemala is incredibly fertile, and it is thanks to this mineral wealth that the country produces some of the best coffee in the world. In the highland fields, surrounded by this dramatic landscape, farmers harvest beans that carry the soul and flavor of the volcano. It's a hard process that requires patience and dedication, but the result is something extraordinary. A cup of Guatemalan coffee is not just a drink, it's a living piece of nature's forces in their purest form. But the landscapes are just the beginning. The true soul of Guatemala lies in its people, in its traditions, and in the small villages that preserve an ancestral way of life. For Guatemalans, time seems to have its own rhythm. They live in careful harmony with nature and the customs they inherited. In indigenous communities, the clothing is colorful and filled with ancient symbols. Every pattern, every color carries a story. It's as if every thread, patiently woven, tells a part of the life of the person wearing it. Each village holds a unique essence, proudly preserving languages, customs, and ways of life that in many other places have already been forgotten. It's almost as if each village is a guardian of a small piece of the past. And then there's something curious. The stature of the women in these villages. Small, yes, but with a presence that impresses. They are women who, generation after generation, carry the weight of culture, agriculture, and family, and do so with a strength that surprises. They work with hands calloused by the land and daily routines, but their eyes show the depth of those who understand the value of every piece of that earth. In Guatemala, they are the heart of many traditions, and their faces reflect both the strength and serenity of ancient wisdom. In markets and plantations, they walk in silence, confident in their identity, keeping alive a culture that resists time and outside influences. The culture here is alive and expressed in every detail. The crowded markets filled with people and color, the celebrations that blend the old and the new. Every little town has its own soul, with rituals that often originate from Mayan times and are renewed with each generation. You feel the power of this as you walk through the markets, where the smell of spices fills the air, and the stalls are full of fruits, fabrics, and crafts that seem to have come straight out of history. The sound of conversations in indigenous languages still preserved is a music that plays in a rhythm that only exists here. Mayan traditions intertwine with modern life in a unique way. It's as if each generation is adding a new verse to an old song. For the more adventurous, Guatemala holds unusual experiences and landscapes that seem to come straight out of a painting. Imagine swimming in the blue waters of the natural pools of Semuc Champey, a hidden wonder in the forest, where the water reflects the sky and the surrounding vegetation. Or walking among the Mayan ruins of Tikal, where ancient temples rise imposingly from the jungle, while the sound of birds and monkeys echoes through the trees. But what's most interesting is that these places seem to challenge you to go off the beaten path. They are spots where the traveler doesn't just observe, but feels, where the connection with nature and history is so close it becomes transformative. Exploring the ruins of Tikal at dawn is like stepping back in time, imagining what life was like there when these temples were still full of life. Life in Guatemala also brings lessons of resilience and simplicity. Here we find the people fighting to preserve their way of life, facing modern challenges and a still developing economy. Poverty and difficulties are real, but that doesn't stop them from having one of the richest and most vibrant cultures in the world. In every city and village, there's a collective effort to keep alive the values, nature, and spirit of Guatemala. It's a quiet struggle, but it reveals immense pride, visible in every gesture and every ritual. This pride is reflected in the shy, sincere smiles of Guatemalans who, despite their hardships, maintain the hospitality and kindness that define their people. The connection to the land is something that doesn't get lost. In many of these communities, people practice subsistence farming, which is directly tied to the cycles of nature. They plant corn, beans, and other staple crops with a respect that goes beyond the simple need for food. There's an understanding that the land is a living being, an entity that must be cared for to give back. In every planting, in every harvest, lies the inheritance of their ancestors, who passed this knowledge down from generation to generation. So after getting to know this land, where nature is untamed and traditions are preserved with such care, what remains? Guatemala isn't just a destination, it's an experience that stays with you, a place where you feel the depth of history, the power of nature, and the value of simple, authentic things. It's a land that once discovered never stops following you. Did you like what you saw here? Want to know more about other fascinating places like this? Then subscribe to the channel. Here every video is an invitation to explore the world in a way you've never seen before. Leave a like, share with your friends, and hit the bell so you won't miss the next videos. Until next time, and get ready for more adventures.